I'm going to start my video blog off with one request. Leave Hope Solo alone. And I say that because people like Keith Olbermann, ESPN, or Juliet Mancur at New York Times want to punish Hope Solo, and then when they present their reasons, come up with some of the most disjointed list of disconnected, illogical points I have ever heard related to Hope Solo. Yes, I am a Hope Solo fan, but let's be absolutely blunt and honest here. We're not talking about, in the case of Hope Solo and her half sister, the classic case of domestic violence. That classic case is a person beating another person and having a repeated history of doing so, or even in that history, there being the absolute, complete, unabashed, unquestioned aggressor. So someone mentions a Ray Rice, and there's the classic example. Or Ray McDonald, another classic example. But Hope Solo doesn't compare to those two. But there are people who want to say, okay, we've got to equalize this. We have to say that, okay, the woman has to be just like the man. And it's on that basis alone that they try to refashion Hope Solo to fit their own narrative. And it winds up again and again and again, their efforts looking absolutely ridiculous. Bozo the Clown stuff. The bottom line is that, look, I'm not saying that Hope Solo is perfect. She's not. She definitely has a problem with anger issues when she drinks. That's happened on 3 occasions. When she got into that fight with the family member that she didn't want, whoever it was she didn't want at that party, that wound up sadly turning on Jeremy Stevens, her then boyfriend, now husband, because he was trying to break it up, and then it was domestic violence with him and he didn't do anything. But what came out of that was Hope being belligerent toward police, or this case where Hope was being belligerent toward police, or the case where Jeremy Stevens got arrested and Hope was being belligerent toward police. What they all have in common was that Hope was being belligerent toward police because she was drunk. That is an unquestioned problem she's got to work on. Absolutely. But the other problem that Hope has isn't one of her doing, it's her family. Hope has a fucked up family situation. And no one brings that out. Keith doesn't talk about it. Juliet doesn't talk about it. And Juliet's piece in the New York Times was completely intellectually irresponsible. She doesn't address it. If you read Hope's memoir, it comes out sometimes in long bits, sometimes in little bits. But Hope needs a break from her own folks. Did Hope handle the situation well when she went on national television and basically trashed her nephew? Nope. Horrible. But all that taken together does not mean that Hope Solo should be treated in a way where she's suspended. Because if you start looking very deeply at the problem, you could say, hey, look, her nephew was the aggressor after Hope was sort of lightly, hitting and playing with him and everything else, as it was written. And then he turns around and basically sits on her and subdues her and holds her. And he's a big person. So she has a right to think, hey, look, I'm being violated. And then the way she is, and she was drunk, next thing you know, she goes off. That's to be expected. She was fighting back and defending herself, but she became the aggressor in doing so. Okay? So who do you accuse of domestic violence there? Why not him too? And then why not the mother who is, okay, well, that's enough, you can get off. She's basically directing her son and how her son applies violence to her half-sister. You think about these things. You see? When it comes to the subject of Hope Solo, it's fascinating to me how often reasonable thinking is jettisoned. It happens all the time with Hope. And it's absolutely ridiculous. So Hope's only solace are her teammates, her husband, I certainly hope, her friends, and the field. But a lot of the media types outside, well, wacko stuff. Okay, maybe you don't like that she's aggro. Maybe you don't like this. Maybe you don't like that. I personally like her. Okay? Hope is A-okay in my book. Flaws and all. And I'm sure she knows what she needs to work on. No one has to tell her. But this kind of burn the witch, mentality, give me a break. Leave her alone.